Welcome, and thank you for clicking on this video. Welcome to episode number 7, where we are modding the Squier Sonic Series Bronco bass to make it as good as we can get it. In this episode, I have installed a Fender branded high mass bridge. Let's see whether or not it makes any difference. Let's go. In the last episode, I featured 2 different Wilkinson bridges, one with threaded saddles and one with brass saddles. Now the sonic changes were pretty subtle, but they were there. Today, we're going to see whether or not a high mass bridge makes any difference at all to the sound and the tone of this bass. Now, I had originally wanted to compare 2 different high mass bridges, the first one being a Godot 201. But the problem I ran into with the Godot bridge is the barrels of the saddles were too tall. So after I installed it on this bass, even with the barrel sitting all the way at the bottom of the bridge, I couldn't get the string height to the same as all the other playing examples, and they were a little higher than what I wanted to be. So unfortunately, I can't really feature the Godot 201. I can, however, feature this Fender branded high mass bridge. This is the chrome version with zinc saddles. The weight of this bridge comes in at 241 grams, so that's quite a bit heavier than the traditional stock Fender bent metal bridges, which came in at around 95 grams. Installation was a breeze. I should clarify that in the Sonic Series Bronco basses, these have the standard 5-screw pattern Fender style bridges. So any kind of Fender branded bridge or replacement aftermarket Fender style bridges should drop right in. And this was no different. The screw hole pattern matched up perfectly. It visually is quite a bit more substantial than a standard stock Fender bridge. Now, the advocates of high mass bridges will always try to tell you that these bridges will offer your instrument more sustain, a crisper note, and better tone. Let's see whether or not that's actually true in this Bronco bass. We're going to feature the same playing examples as the last episode so we can make an A-B comparison. I have deliberately played more half notes and whole notes to see whether or not it actually makes any difference in the sustain. Just like episode 6, for this playing example, we're going to have the volume all the way open and the tone knob at 100%. This is the stock original single coil pickup, so it is a bit on the noisy side. And to keep the comparison fair, I have set this bass up to the same string height in all of the examples. We're also going to use the same cable and the same signal chain to make this a fair A-B comparison. Here we go. What did you think of the tone of this high mass bridge? Please let me know by leaving a comment below. Compared to the stock bridge, right away there's a noticeable added beefiness to the tone with this high mass bridge. The notes are quite a bit heftier and bigger, and there's quite a bit more low end. The mid-range complexity, however, is noticeably different in comparison to the stock bridge. To my ears, I find this high mass bridge to have a bit of a mid-scoop. It sounds like it has a bit of a smiley face EQ to it. So the lows are a little bit bigger and the highs are a little bit bigger, but the mid-range does sound a little bit more dipped. Now, whether or not that will sonically work for you is going to be entirely up to your playing style and the type of music you play. So if you're playing a lot of more kind of modern styles that would benefit from having that kind of EQ curve, then a high mass bridge might work for you. For me and my playing styles and what my ears gravitate towards, I like having a more complex mid-range. You can always add a little more bottom end or high end with the use of judicious EQing. However, if the frequencies are not there to begin with, there's nothing to boost. You can always cut away some of the mid-range if you want a scoop sound after the fact, either on an outboard preamp or on your amp or EQ in post-production. But if the frequencies aren't there, you can make them appear. So I think for me, I don't think the sound from this high mass bridge on this bass is right for me. But if you are leaning more towards an aggressive modern sound, then I think this could work for that application. In conclusion, I do think the bridge plays a key role in tone production on a bass. However, having now heard several different bridges, it's not a dramatic difference, but it is noticeable. So if you are looking for a dramatic, real departure from the original sound of the bass, bridges are not going to provide that. Having said that, they do make a noticeable change to the overall tone and the vibe of the instrument. I think if you are leaning more towards a vintage sound, then sticking with a bent metal bridge with the saddle of your choice might be the way to go. If you're looking for more of a scooped in the mid-range modern sound, then a high mass bridge might be right for you. Thank you so much for watching this episode. To foreshadow episode number 8, I'm gonna do it. I have in my hand EMG Geezer Butler precision type pickups. I'm gonna put them in this bass. Let's do it.